Did you ever hear about La Llorona? If you're from Mexico or from Latin America, you probably hear about it. There's a lot of different histories about it without the details, but the most part say basically the same. La Llorona is a woman who drives crazy and kills her kids in a river. So since that day, appears in the streets looking her children and screaming. Some people also say that the Llorona can confuse your children and even can try to kill them too. And now something more about the beginning of history. Like I said before, there are a lot of versions, but the most famous is the one who is based in the novel of Bernal Díaz del Castillo. That history is about a woman who was dating with a Spanish man, but he never wants to have a formal relationship with her, so this makes the woman crazy and kills their children with a knife in a river.
One of the versions of La Llorona that is located in Mexico and which is perhaps the best known today emerged in colonial times. In it is narrated that an indigenous woman of incomparable beauty fell madly in love with a Spanish gentleman with whom she had three beautiful children. The mother poured herself completely into her little ones and into her love for this man, but he, on the contrary, did nothing but about her, afraid of what people might say about their relationship. One day, he left her to marry a prestigious Spanish lady of the upper class. Learning of this betrayal, the woman completely lost her mind. She took her children in her arms, took them to the shore of Lake Texcoco, hugged them gently, and sang them until they drowned. After release once she had done, she could not bear and she also took her own life. Since this day, it is said that the soul of this woman cannot rest, and every night she wanders dressed entirely in white throne, the loneliest rest near the lake in search of her three children. The woman cries, moans, and cries, "Oh, my children!" And their cries of pain resound to the tomb. According to the Mexican historian Efrain Franco Farias, this is one of the theories of La Llorona that was later associated with Malintzin, better known as La Malinche, who opened the door to the Spanish army, became the lover of the conqueror Hernán Cortés. With him she has a son, but when he returned to Spain, he was taken from widow obliged to prevent it. Not ever heard cries to God to send her baby again.
Symbology in the legend La Llorona. There are elements that are present in practically all versions of the legend. It is obvious that they are interesting to understand what is behind this narrative. First, water. It is curious how in the legend water is one of the elements that is present in almost all cases. Rivers, lakes, lagoons. The presence of water means a source of life, and on certain occasions, as in this case, it can also symbolize death. Second, white dress. La Llorona is usually described as the specter of a woman dressed in white. She also covers her face with a veil, and there is no question that this color contrasts with the darkness of the night. Also, it related this color of ghosts and spirits. Third, screams. Most likely, La Llorona's lament is justified by the loss of her children. Clearly, one of the most well-known cries is about the experiences. My dad told me that he saw La Llorona when he was a teenager. He lived near a ravine. One night, he went to a dance and returned to his house until midnight. While he was walking down the street, he heard some scream. He believed that the screams might have been part of his imagination, but he began to feel cold and a little afraid because my dad had already known that La Llorona appeared near the ravine. After walking for a few minutes, he heard a woman crying. He looked down the street and there was no one near him. He continued until he heard a scream from a woman behind him, and he saw her. At that time, we quickly ran to his house. The scream must have been very loud for my dad. My dad came to his house scared and told my grandparents that he had listened to La Llorona. He says that La Llorona was wearing a white dress and she looked very young, but her scream was awful. For my grandparents, the legend of La Llorona is believable because my dad couldn't have invented that situation, but for others is improbable. And it was the legend of La Llorona.